Lonzo Ball was supposed to be out 8 weeks with his knee injury. It could be 9+ months. Something is seriously wrong with Lonzo. And the one guy who knows more than anyone else just blamed the Chicago Bulls.
But now, after they do the surgery on his leg, I'm looking and I'm like, yo, they got him running and stuff too fast. It was too early for him to do that. You know, I'm looking like, no.
This is the video LeVar is talking about. Zoe was trying to get back for the playoffs, but Chicago rushed him. 9 days later, they shut him down with pain in his knee. This reminds me of when Kawhi Leonard got hurt in San Antonio. He didn't like how the Spurs were handling his rehab. It got so bad, Kawhi demanded a trade. Now look, I don't think that's gonna happen here, but for a guy who is running 52 days after his injury, how is he out 9+ months? Something went horribly wrong, and it's gonna force the Bulls to make a crazy decision. To get to the bottom of this, we have to look at the timeline. Zoe got hurt January 14th against the Warriors. It turns out he had a bone bruise and another meniscus tear. His timetable, 6 to 8 weeks. He had surgery January 28th and was shut down from rehab March 21st. He restarted rehab 10 days later, but never returned. They shut him down for the playoffs on April 6th and got crushed. The Bucks embarrassed the Bulls after a great start to the season. After Zoe went down, it was a disaster. Before his injury, the Bulls were 6th in points off turnovers, top 10 in transition assists, what Zoe does best. He shot a career high 42% from 3. Without him, they were one of the worst in points off turnovers, 22nd in threes. They shot 28% in the playoffs. Zoe is so important. The GM was asked about that knee in Summer League. The best he could say was, I hope we get him back. And it turns out they won't for the start of the season. Remember when the Pelicans said, well, Zion's gonna miss the start of the year, then another setback and another setback? Then he never played. That could be Zoe, because this injury is mysterious. Back in 2018, Zoe tore his meniscus the first time on the Lakers. He didn't have surgery, but it may have caused an ankle issue that kept him out almost half the season. In fact, Zoe has never played a full year. He has missed over a third of his NBA games. He is officially injury prone, and I hate that term too, but look at this. Since coming into the league, it's been one thing after another. I am so concerned about Lonzo because of this wild stat. We are entering year 6. He has made 0 All-Star games. Known as a great defender, made 0 all-defense, and because of injuries, has played in 0 playoff games. Yeah, that is a shocking reality that should scare every Bulls fan. On defense, they still have Alex Caruso and Patrick Williams, but how long can they survive without Zoe? If we look at the schedule, the first month has 9 home games and 7 road games. 11 of the 15 opponents are likely playoff teams. That is so tough. But if he's out until Christmas, it only gets harder. What the Bulls might find out way sooner than I thought is this whole rebuild is in big trouble. Last offseason, they made splashy moves, signed Zoe and Alex Caruso, got DeMar DeRozan after trading for Nikola Vucevic, got the steal of the draft with Ayo Dosunmu, but they gave up their future for all of it. Chicago tied up their cap space. Even with Vooch coming off the books next year, they're not going to have enough for even an above average starter. They traded all their picks. The 2023 pick goes to Orlando for Vooch, but they do have the Blazers first. Oh wait, it's lottery protected, which means it's gonna suck. In 2024, they have their own pick, and they could trade it on draft night. 2025 is owed to San Antonio for DeRozan. 2026 cannot be traded, and they are finally free in 2027. All of that for this team. I know they made me look stupid in the past, but do you actually have faith in the Bulls right now? What's the pathway to them being great? Patrick Williams taking a leap? They were 1-13 against the top 4 East teams last year, and it's only gotten worse. The Celtics and Bucks are awesome. The Nets, if they can figure it out. The Hawks and Cavs just upgraded. The Raptors are always tough. There is no way that the Bulls contend for a title the next 5 5 years. Lonzo's injury just makes that even more obvious. I'm concerned about how DeMar DeRozan is going to play this year. Just had his best season ever with his highest usage rate. And how do you think Billy Donovan's going to get through this period without Lonzo? He's going to lean on DeMar and Zach LaVine. That's going to put even more strain on his body. In the offseason, they added Andre Drummond and Goran Dragic. Does nothing for their defense. Probably makes it worse. The biggest factor, sneakily, is Nikola Vucevic. Still their third best player, actually. But last year was so bad, he shot 31% from 3 and was an awful finisher. The Vooch trade was a disaster. We said it right when it happened. But now we know for sure. They gave up Wendell Carter Jr., who's turning into a really good center on a cheap contract. And that first pick became Franz Wagner. He could be a franchise player. The team made win-now moves, but lost. So now they have two huge decisions, and the first one is about Kobe White. There's only so many guard minutes to go around behind Zach LaVine. They have Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Goran Dragic, Kobe White, and Ayo. Reports say the Bulls promised Dragic up to 25 minutes per game. What does that say about how they view Kobe White? We know that Kobe thinks he can operate an NBA offense as a starter. That's not what the Bulls think. They did not give him an extension, and they're gonna have until the deadline to get a trade done. Kobe is the most likely Bull to get traded. Then I would look at Zach LaVine. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but if the season ends poorly and there's no hope in sight for them contending, I think Zach could ask for a trade. It happens all the time. Stars these days want to get paid now and just ask out later. Kevin Durant got paid, then demanded out, even though it didn't work. Ben Simmons, same thing, but it did work. Remember when Kyrie silently demanded a trade off the Cavaliers to the Celtics? He had 3 years left on his deal. I seriously think Zach LaVine could be next. Remember, before signing his max contract this offseason, he said, "For me, it's not even about my contract. I'm a competitor. I want to go to the playoffs and play on a big stage." Well, Chicago ain't it. And Lonzo Ball's injury just speeds up what was already going to happen. So far, we've had Lonzo's injury that's going to keep him out. Chet Holmgren's injury is going to keep him out the entire year. And so I decided to look back at what are the top 10 dumbest injuries in NBA history. And Lonzo and Chet Holmgren, those actually don't even qualify as dumb injuries. Those things are legit. I'm talking about guys who had their eyes burned from being at a concert and had to miss games. Or one guy who's actually too fat, got hurt and missed time. Check out the top 10 dumbest injuries in NBA history right here.